club, we'll do it tonight, yeah. From the back to the left to the right, yeah. All them girls looking hot, looking tight, yeah. Come on and move from the wall to the light, yeah. I don't know, maybe you didn't hurt me. Gonna lose it tonight, yeah, no mercy. We're gonna turn it up crazy. We're gonna turn it up, turn it up. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand, let me see your hand. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, let me see your hands. Come around like you dance, no care. Popping bottles, you know how we do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tierra.
I'm Lawanda.
Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk Insecure. This is season 5, episode 4, and it was titled Faulty, okay? Started off very, very awkward as, you know, Nathan is hosting his beach day for the barbershop. Mm-hmm. And this is he and Issa's first encounter since that awkward cry in the mouth situation. So,
well,
what did you guys think?
Well, another awkward moment for Nathan and Issa for the most part, but I'm glad that they seem to have gotten themselves together in some respects. You know, it's now explainable. I think we know why Issa did what she did, and of course we always knew about Nathan's condition, but it's all good. I'm feeling good. So
I feel like it was an awkward situation because they hadn't talked, but I felt like Issa made it more awkward.
Yeah, well,
as she often does.
It was like she was trying to be cordial with him and not make things awkward, but by trying to do that, she made it more awkward.
Yeah, she tried too hard.
Yeah, she definitely did. You could see her thinking.
Yeah.
So
she tends to do that, right? She tends to do that. She'll eventually come to the point where she did, but she always starts off with these jokes that really don't land.
Right. And they don't land, or they do. They land someplace else. But let me ask this question: do you all think Nathan left last week because of his condition?
No, I don't think so. I think he just did not want to be led on, and I think the fact that she still has feelings for an ex, he wasn't really trying to be caught up in the middle of that. And I think the after show kind of pretty much summed it up really well, because they talk about Nathan and his rejection issues. Mm-hmm. And so he could have taken that as like feeling rejected. I wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I felt like, I think that was part of it, but I do think in the show we saw that he did have a habit of ghosting and disappearing, and I think that's part of his condition. I mean, the mental health issue that he has. So learning that, I was like, okay, this has been a pattern for him, and and I did feel like Issa gave him mixed signals, and I felt like I learned a lot this episode, because when I watched the show, I live tweet, and it's interesting to hear other people's perceptions of him. And before the explanation came out at the end with the and how he was put out and the ghosting thing, people were online and they were just like, Issa should move on because he's just emotionally unavailable. And then as the episode went on and it explained things, I was like, that's really not it.
But it is something to pay attention to.
It is something to pay attention to. It's definitely a red flag there, because especially when you see people that know him and because family put you out for this reason. I mean, that is a red flag.
But
go ahead, Ron.
Well, it begs the question: how does Issa treat him, knowing he has, he's manic depressive? How do you treat someone like that? So And I say that to say, when she got upset last week, no fault of hers, really. I mean, she was emotional. That happens. But do what do you expect from Nathan? Do you treat him differently? Do you not put him in positions where it could, cause an onset of his mental, breakdown? How do you handle that? If you're East, how do you handle that?
I think
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Lawanda.
No, I was going to say that not to have expectations, because they both did bring that up. And I think that would be hard for her if she wants anything more than a friendship with him, is to not have expectations. But that's kind of almost how it would have to be when you don't know what to expect from him, how he's going to handle or manage something, because it could be that that's his defense mechanism, or the way he protects himself is that he leaves until he can figure it out, because maybe he doesn't want to do any damage when he's in one of those states. So either she would have to know that and be okay with that, or just not have any expectations at all.
And
I
was
think
going to say it probably comes down to communication too, because towards the end of the episode, they both finally were very honest with each other about how they had been feeling. And I think that was like a major step for them, because they have both been kind of afraid to tell each other how they really felt. And so, like, once they let their walls down, the communication lines opened up, and it seems like Issa can kind of understand his perspective a little bit better. And so, like, the more he communicates about his feelings and what being manic depressive does, like, I think that this show is doing a really good job of bringing awareness to that, because maybe it might not look how most people think depression looks. There's levels to it.
Good point.
Yeah, it seems like the whole show is about lack of communication, and we tend to be running into this more and more and more with these shows, even with Nathan and his cousin Thomas, because it kind of struck me a little weird with Thomas's wife and Nathan. It seemed to be a little stress in there, and we find out now at the end why there was that little stress, on the beach. So again, it's just being, I guess, brutally honest. Of course, I can understand Nathan not wanting to say anything, because, we as a society treat mental health as, something, taboo, not to be around. We don't want to approach it. We don't want to be around it.
I wanted to put Thomas on the hands list, because first off, why are you gonna put it on your wife that she don't want you there? Man up. Man up. He was a punk. He should have said, this is the issue. He let Nathan think that his wife was the reason why she didn't want him there and stuff. You don't do that. You don't put it on your wife. You say what it is.
Well, he said now, just I step in now.
Had to put Ron on the hands list too.
Thomas did say that Thelma discussed it with him and thought, as a group, the two of them, that it would be better coming from her, because those two were fam. And so, and I can understand it from that standpoint. However, because they're fam, I would have certainly gone to him and said, look, I don't know what's up, but you got to get this, you got to get this straight, because, I had fam with me for 2 years one time, and wasn't working out between the wife and family, and I had to just, hey, look, you got to roll. It's
right. That's my thing. I mean, that happens sometimes. So I didn't take issue with the fact that they told him he had to go. I take issue with the fact that he let his wife be the fall guy. That's a punk.
But she wanted that. She was.
But you don't let her. And he was the one that had the issue. He said, I was the one that was uncomfortable with you being around. You were doing XYZ. So if he was the one uncomfortable, then he should have said something instead of letting his wife be the fall guy. That's being a punk.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tierra.
I was going to say, I get his reasonings for wanting Nathan valid, though. Like, if you don't know that somebody is depressed or manic, you don't have any insight into their behavior, you might think they're just living a reckless lifestyle and putting your family at risk by being in and out and leaving doors unlocked and stuff when you have small children in the house. So it's
I didn't take issue with his reasoning. His reasoning was valid. I agree with him. I would have felt uncomfortable too. I agree. I disagree with how he went about it by allowing his wife to take the fall. That's what I take issue with. I don't the fact that he was uncomfortable, that completely understandable.
You know what? I think that kind of made me think about what Nathan says about how people see him. And it's interesting because you get into these situations to where, yeah, the behavior was reckless, but it's also people see him in such a way that they don't think to say, well, maybe something else could be up with him. You know, because that, I think that's the part of the neglect and abandonment, is that you were actually having a problem. Now, granted, you're grown, nobody's responsible for you, but their reaction is to assume that you're reckless or that it's something negative and you have to go, rather than, oh, this is my cousin, maybe something's wrong, maybe he needs help, you know. But again, we're maybe not educated and don't recognize the symptoms or the signs of some mental health issues, so it may look like that, rather than them saying maybe it's something going on with him and we need to check on him.
But you know, in our community, a lot of times mental health is not always, you know, to go to a therapist, anything like that. It's kind of frowned upon. So I can see them not even thinking that's the first thing that comes to mind.
That's true, because we're probably all functioning dysfunctional, right? Because nothing about us being here in this environment is right. It's not. You know, we all have some level of dysfunction, just the history of us being in this country.
Right.
And so we learn to kind of maintain and manage and just make it through, and not realizing that a lot of the stuff we do is toxic, is harmful, is damaging to us. And so I think that's the good thing about the show, is that's being highlighted now. So people may be able to address those and say, okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. We all have our neuroses, but you know, and I think too, it's also important for those that are going through those things to tell your family, because I don't think it would have been too out of the way for Nathan to say to his cousin, hey, you know, look, I'm manic depressant, and you know, I get it though. You know, I mean,
I don't know if he knew it back then though. I don't know if he even had put a name to it yet.
Well,
it seemed like he was kind of figuring things out along the way, and it wasn't maybe until that he was already put out that he started handling his mental health problems and realizing that actually was a thing for him.
I don't know.
The other thing I was going to mention too is because Issa was getting a little jealous of Risha on the beach. And it was funny because I'm like, well, for somebody who you claim you don't want, you just want to be friends with, you sure are getting pissed off about him helping her with her sandal and whatnot.
Yeah, it was confusing. It was confusing because I was like, you asked the man to stay over your house. Then you bust out crying. It seemed like you had lingering feelings for Lawrence. And then now you're acting jealous. I was like, look, all over the place. I mean, I felt it when he said that, like she all over the place, the mixed signals.
Yes, he told him in the car.
And Mo said it. Mo said it in the car, you know, that y'all always want to put us in the friend zone. But you really don't want us in the friend zone. But y'all put us in the friend zone or make us think that we're in the friend zone, but you want more. And we're confused as hell. I'm gonna tell you right now, men can get really confused over you all's emotional swings. And I can see it right now. I'm sorry.
Swings.
That's what she was having. Emotional swings.
I think she was ready intellectually, but not necessarily emotionally. She was like, it's probably been a year, it's probably time for me to move on. But when it came down to it, I think it all came front and center.
Yeah, the heart wants what it wants. And and listen, I know how it ended, and it looks like they're gonna try to be together. But I think soon as she start dating him, Lawrence gonna come back to town. And that's gonna be up in the air. Like that's why I said this ain't no happily ever after.
It's a merry-go-round.
I'm fair for Nathan though, because if he's in this fragile of a state and Lawrence comes back and sparks something else up in Issa, and she has to, pick up and run back to Lawrence. Like, I just know Nathan will go through it if that's the
Yeah.
case.
And I think that's part of what he's scared of. Like that's probably part of the reason why he left. Because it's like, because she kind of did that to him before a little bit. You know, she was like talking to him and being friends and stuff. And then she went back to Lawrence.
And do you know how depressing that is? I mean, so it's going to happen. We know that. And so she's setting him up for failure. And we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm really hoping it doesn't.
I think it's different with her not knowing he moved back. If she made that decision knowing he moved back, then she's culpable. But with her thinking he's in San Francisco and she's not going to run into him.
But Lawanda, here's my point. You have now locked in with Nate after that little beautiful scene overlooking the township and everything.
It was a nice scene.
Beautiful scene. And you're locked in with Nate. All Nate sees is you will now want him. He's always wanted you. And you've given him that key to your heart. And then all because Lawrence comes back into town, it's okay for you to change the lock and say to Nate, oh, your key don't work anymore because Lawrence is back in town.
It's always okay for you to change your mind. It's only if you're doing things intentionally. She's not doing it intentionally. She's not.
Lawanda, explain that to Nathan. Explain that to Nathan.
The same way he explained to her when he disappeared. Mental illness. What I'm saying is, I don't blame anybody for decisions they make in real time as long as there's no malintent there. Right? Because at the end of the day, you just living. You can only do what's true to your heart anyway, right? So they owe each other honesty in the moment. They owe each other not to lie to them about their intentions about anything outside of that. You make the decision that you can live with and be happy. You're not obligated to sacrifice your happiness for anyone. At least that's how I think.
Okay, but given that, would it not be more prudent if she said to him earnestly, I still have feelings for Lawrence, and then let whatever comes that way, it happens. But
I think he might shut down if she says that. It would be honest, but I think he might shut down.
Yeah.
And you're right. He may shut down, but I think she owes him at least that much, that courtesy to say, why, because the whole point was, well, why were you crying? What was the deal? And she wasn't completely honest with that. And it was really overlong. And I think that if
maybe she doesn't know that, it's just that too.
She knew. I mean,
he didn't actually say I didn't want to leave because I didn't want you inviting me over just to cuddle.
Well, I mean, she could have said.
They gave the politically correct answer.
I don't know, y'all. Look, I'm the only male on this show, so what I'm gonna be beaten up no matter what I say.
I know, Ron. I get your point. I think they put their cards on the table, and I think they did as much as they could. I think what happens in the days and weeks after is really what determines that.
Yeah. And I noticed, somebody else might be having a mental breakdown because Kelly looked like she was going through it, spilling her life story out to Risha. And I'm like, well, what is going on with Kelly?
You give Kelly
her spiritual journey.
Yeah. She was drunk.
But I think she was traumatized by them thinking she was dead. I don't think Kelly been right ever since she been to that reunion.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's really taking a toll on her.
Yeah.
Okay, but is Molly a little promiscuous?
You just thinking about that season 5? Molly been.
I'm look, Molly.
She just trying to get her swerve on. That's it. She's single.
I do kind of think what Ron is saying, because I thought that because it was I'm not judging her, but it seemed like she was trying to change. She was trying.
Yeah, I thought she was trying to change too, and then I was just like, "Oh, this is an old Molly move." She just like, "What size 14? Size 14 shoe? What? Let's get it."
Right. I mean, okay.
Dr. Rhonda.
She definitely put herself out there, and she had options.
It is working.
She's working both of them. She didn't really care. She was working both of them.
She was trying to see who was going to be the best option.
And that's okay.
I mean,
I didn't say that. We talking about Molly.
No, it's okay. No, because if it was a dude, y'all
Well,
would have had
that's
him
like
on
y'all roll. I mean, y'all listen. If it's a dude, that's how y'all roll. Y'all have options.
We do not roll like that.
Y'all do have options. Y'all have more than one option.
Oh, most definitely. But we do not roll. Look, Molly was.
Y'all don't size up your options. Get out of here. Stop it.
Not like that though. We do it in secret. We don't just come right out with it like that.
She wasn't coming right out with it. She was saying to her girls,
no,
like, this is option number one. This is option number two.
She wanted the bald-headed dude first, the 14 shoe. And the moment she said something about when he said, "Oh, I got to go home and take care of my cat," she rolled right over to the. I mean, like. It was.
Although the other dude
she said he was thinking about the wrong cat. She said he was thinking about the wrong cat.
Okay.
That's why
she wasn't too much better. I mean, I don't know. That may be somebody else's style. They might like that kind of talk, but the way he just straight up came out and was like just talking vulgar with her, I was like, I mean, maybe that's her thing.
I think that's the mode that she was in. I don't think she was looking for him to be Mr. Right. I think she was looking for Mr. Right Now.
Right
and I think she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Mr. Right Now. And that's why that kind of talk appealed to her.
So, I mean, I was like, she told Issa she was ready to stay with him, roll with him for the night. So, I guess it worked out at Jason Derulo's party.
And listen, I've never seen a dude that's been so hyped to see Jason Derulo. I was like,
right.
Jason Derulo?
I literally laughed out loud.
I did too. I was
like, that's why they were calling Mo back. Mo, please come back. Mo, I don't know. Hey, I'm like Thomas. I'm too old to hang with y'all.
Right. Yeah. I feel him on that part. This episode though, I thought it was pretty good in terms of Issa repairing her friendship with Nathan, but on the business side, she's having issues with Crenshaw trashing her online.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he took the screenshots of her text and posted it to Twitter.
Oh my gosh. I was like, wow.
Really sabotaging her.
Doing the most, calling her a fraud. I was like, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's going to fare for her business wise, since it seemed like people were joining him in the trashing, talking about her app and the organization that she has. And so hopefully she can come back from that, because her assistant was texting her fervently like, what did you do?
Yeah,
so,
I think Tiffany, I think you better contact Issa and give us some PR instructions.
I think I like Koya's assistant. She said she ready.
Yeah, right. With a nosebleed. Yeah, let me get this straight out. I'm ready.
Yeah, so I don't think
he like the type though. He seems like the type that would be very like passive aggressive with you, trash you online instead of calling you personally or addressing it personally. Because
which is what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he goes big or goes home, and I think that's his style. So
it's gonna be interesting. I still feel like, he's doing all this, but will he eventually be a possible love interest?
That's what I kept thinking.
Because I still think there's an undercurrent of something. I mean, it's all this up front, but I think once they have a conversation and they chill all this out, he could possibly be a love interest. Because we thinking about Nathan and Lawrence, and neither one of them might really be the one.
I don't know.
Y'all got me.
I mean, this is episode 4, so we're almost halfway through. So I'm thinking if there's going to be any kind of conflict or, some kind of major turning point in the storyline, then it would have to come next week. So I think that's going to be the major episode to see where it's going to send us for the rest of the season. And it's crazy because this is it. Like, we're not going to have no more story after this. So it seems like they have a lot to tie up in a little bit of time.
I don't know.
I'm still hoping they do some cameos. I'd like to see Daniel again.
I would like to see Daniel again too.
That's going to change the whole realm of things. I mean, you keep that in.
So?
Well, Issa can't make up her mind anyway, and I don't think she ever will. I honestly think this show is going to end with Issa not checking with anybody.
I think that's very possible. She might not end up with anybody, but I think even if Daniel came back, I think she decided in that after living with him for that little bit of time, I think she decided. Kelli and Molly told her, like, I don't think he's the one for you.
Oh, not to deal with, just to show up. Maybe they run.
I want to see him again. Yeah, I definitely think, especially with this being the last season, it would only be right to have Daniel back in. And I wonder, what about Tasha from the first season?
Yeah, that would be cool. I just don't know how they would incorporate that, like some kind of reunion of all the exes. I have no idea.
Well, I mean, listen, because Daniel's a producer. Huh?
Oh, no, I was saying the same way she used to run into Thug Yoda.
Oh, he's funny too. Yeah. Oh, he's funny. I'm just thinking with Daniel being a producer and Issa throwing events and everything, it's possible that she could see Daniel at an industry event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, she is kind of dealing with music artists now, so that's a good point. That's a good point,
especially in LA.
Well, I enjoyed this episode. It looks like next week Molly is going to have like some major scare with somebody close to her. I seen the previews and it looks like somebody's at the hospital and they're receiving some bad news. And Issa, calls Molly up and hears something as well. So I didn't expect that from the episode or this season, like some kind of big issue. So maybe that's going to be the turning points for Molly's character, because it seems like she's kind of just floating around through life, and maybe having this major issue in her family is going to make her get serious about things. I don't know. I wouldn't want that to be the thing that gives me a wake up call, though, especially if it's her mom.
Right.
So, and it could be because we heard, in that first episode, I believe they were talking about putting estate plans in place. So if that's the case, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
You guys have any other predictions you want to throw out there for next week or for the remainder of the season? I think we kind of all addressed it.
Yeah, I think we interjected ours. I definitely don't see happening after for Issa and Nathan.
No. And Molly not gonna like the sex. She's gonna come back complaining about that.
Well, I mean, I think it's just for right now. Anyway, I don't think she was looking at him like Mr. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, she's gonna talk about it. Trust me.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for watching. It looks like we have
thank you, Trey. Oh, and Lawrence Hive. Oh, Lord, he Lawrence Hive like Ron.
And lovely one. Shout out to her. Bear Scope
23.
Yeah, hey. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I think we've kind of touched on majority of the points this episode, and we're looking forward to what's coming next week for the mid-season episode. So make sure you guys are back here with us next week when we go live to recap that. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. Click the notification bell so that you get alerted whenever we post. And also follow us on social media at The Spot Real Talk on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the major platforms. Check us out there. You guys got any last words?
Yeah, make sure they check out our interview that we did with the BMF stars. Miles Bullock that plays Slick and Lil plays Saki. You guys watch BMF, tune into that. Should let you guys know that Yeah, the Spot Real Talk is covering the American Black Film Festival that's going on too. Oh, Patrick said the episode was boring.
Well, you know what? Never mind. We'll
It's
get
just
into it.
building. It's building.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
it's still building.
Storytelling going on.
But I feel you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Like Tiffany said, check out our videos for BMF. It's already up now. We also have our BMF recap already posted. Check that out. And we should be having some more treats up our sleeves. So stay tuned and make sure that you are subscribed and your alerts are on for this channel because we got some more heat coming your way.
Yep, more to come.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's getting late. I'm about to call it a night. My pillow is calling me.
I can't keep these eyes open any longer, so we got to roll. Good night, everybody.
All right, everyone.
All
See you
right.
next week.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Look at my neck bright. I get that check right. I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe. Off of that side. I'm in that new coupe. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah. I get that check right. I'm so